Formerly suicidal people of Reddit, how did things change? Serious? This post needs some more attention. So, my university had a suicide bridge that I walked across basically every night at like 12:30 am to get back to my apartment from work. During my junior year I started wondering what it would be like to jump off, wondering whether it was high enough to kill me on impact or if I'd have to drown, trying to figure out whether I wanted to tell someone beforehand or leave a note and my stuff on the bridge or just go without telling anyone. It was all super morbid and it was not doing my mental health any favors to be repeating those same thoughts night after night. At that point I wasn't mentally healthy enough to even see therapy or whatever as an option. The first step, at least for me, was finding a way to break the pattern of suicidal thought. I'd become so used to walking home every night and going over how easy it would be to just jump that I genuinely think that anything could have triggered me to just do it. I was kind of scaring myself, so I decided to take the bus rather than walk home, which was a pain in the ass that involved waiting for half an hour until the bus showed up, but it broke the pattern. Once I stopped basically getting an opportunity to go over those thoughts every day on schedule, I was able to think a little more clearly. I was able to get up the willpower or the nerve or whatever to go to therapy, which led to me getting a diagnosis and all that fun stuff. So I guess the best advice I can give is, if you find suicidal thoughts coming in certain circumstances or situations, just do your best to make a change that'll circumvent them. Because I know from experience that the process of thinking about all that was so draining that I couldn't even think about getting out of it entirely until I had done what I could to stop being triggered into them all the time. Took some advice from a friend's mom. She told me 3 to 4 years prior that if you're ever feeling like suicide is the answer, try to understand that this is a sign something is wrong and you should seek help. After a failed attempt I decided something was very wrong and I needed to get help. Getting that help changed my life forever. I no longer keep in touch with her, but she likely saved my life. I don't recommend this at all, and actually this could have gone very poorly, but I had an acid trip that kind of just changed my perspective. I looked at my life a lot more differently because it was just so clear to me the problems before that almost made me take my life were temporary and all fixable with just a change of attitude and effort. Honestly, mushrooms. I took some with a group of friends while camping in the middle of nowhere. Ended up wandering through a forest by myself for an hour and then along sit in a hammock over a river. I still don't know everything I thought about, but when I came home I was just a happier person. Edit, I would like to clarify, mushrooms didn't just magically, pun intended, fix my problems, but it gave me an incredible new mindset. I wanted to have a better attitude, so I just kinda did. Please don't self-medicate. See a doctor if you're feeling depressed or suicidal. I couldn't get a job and over a period I got more and more depressed. I felt I was a burden to others and didn't want to be around anymore. For about 8 months I stopped paying bills and just let everything slide. I took put loans to cover the occasional eviction notice and keep a working phone and power. But I just let my personal economy go to shit. I didn't think I'd be around to deal with it. For a few months I had been stocking painkillers and were planning on killing myself the day before I was going to be kicked out of my apartment. I didn't want my body to rot and make my patents deal with that too. I got the date I was supposed to be out and the date of the inspection mixed up, and the day I had planned to kill myself there were a police officer, a locksmith and few people from the company that owned the building. I couldn't so wait and had to call my parents for help. The moment my mom picked up I broke down and told her everything. I lived 3 hours away. She dropped everything and stood at my doorstep 2.5 hours later. She helped me pack up a few things and took me home, got me help, and did everything in her power to make me better. Today I have a job I love, I'm surrounded by people who care about me and I them. I love my life right now, and I am currently dating a girl I think could be it. 2 years ago I didn't kill myself because of a date mix-up. Today I love my life. Hang in there, people. I got 5,150'd. Spent a week in a psych ward with some very depressed people, which gave me some perspective. As it turns out, I was having a very serious reaction to Lexapro, which I'd been put on a month before for depression. I was 14 at the time, and apparently sometimes SSRIs like Lexapro can have the opposite effect, especially in youths. That was me. It sucked all the joy out of the world and made me suicidal. I got off the medicine and have struggled with depression since, but it's much more manageable. I did a few ketamine sessions and ibogaine for a related substance abuse problem. Life is looking better every day. I still can't believe the pill I was told to take by a doctor made things that dark. I was told it would help, and couldn't put two and two together and realize it was making things worse. Caught my ex-girlfriend cheating on me, wasn't happy with anything in my life from age 18 to 24. Just never got on any good path. I received a really messed up text from her that morning before work. I went to work and felt miserable until lunchtime. I clocked out with no intention of coming back. I was fueling my own fire in my head, amping myself up to what I had been thinking about doing all morning. I got home and went hastily into the garage. Grabbed a rope, tied it to the rafters, stood up on a chair and tied the rope around my neck. Everything was moving fast because my mind was set. As I was about to kick the chair, my phone in my pocket started to ring. It completely threw me off my goal. The phone was ringing but there was no name and no number. I answered the call and heard nothing but silence and felt sudden chills in a warm garage. My phone never rang without showing me any name or number before or after that. I have a lot of deceased family members and I felt like they were with me in that moment of time. I broke down and started crying and removed myself from the situation and called into work. Took a few months to get my head straight again. Here I am 2 years later and I'm so much happier. Never ever saw my life going in the positive direction it has been. New job, amazing girlfriend, my first house, dog, the works. Suicide isn't worth it, my friends. Therapy, finally understanding that suicide is an irreversible reaction to changeable circumstances, that I have intrinsic value apart from any earning potential or what I might hope to offer humanity, gratitude, learning that while things could be better they could also be much worse, cutting some extremely toxic family members out of my life, learning to say no and mean it, understanding that my past doesn't define me, and standing up to my negative self-talk. I still have a long way to go, but I'm a lot better than I was. I got a cat so I would have someone else to live for. Also read a book that changed my look on life and different mental struggles I had. Now every time I feel like sinking back into the dark side, I reread my favorite parts from the series. If anyone is holding on to last bit of hope, let this be the thing that changes your world for better. Read Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. Take one step at a time, talk to your friends. Take depression courses, they have healing tips. Fake being happy, like do things that make you happy. Eventually the genuine happiness returns. Prepare for relapses. I was sitting in the bathroom, about to use the sink to swallow a bunch of pills from the medicine cabinet. I was being bullied at school to the point I developed ulcers and IBS. When a teacher joined in on it, I felt like something had to be wrong with me for an adult to do it too. My mom just happened to walk in before I opened the cabinet and saw I had been crying. She didn't know what I had been going through at school and I just told her how it felt without mentioning what was going on. She told me no matter what I go through in life it'll change, everything eventually changes. So I decided to hold off and see what would happen. A couple of days later one of my classmates called my mom and confessed to everything that was happening at school. She confronted me and I broke down crying. She didn't force me to go to school anymore, but said if I dropped out I had to get a GED. She said that I wouldn't have to deal with people like that in my life forever. After going to the school several times and them refusing to take action, I dropped out and got the GED. Best choice I ever made. She was right. I lived in a very small town during the time and I probably ran into that girl, the leader of my bully group, once the last 4 years I lived there. I just recently told my mom about what I planned to do that day she came into the bathroom. She was pretty shocked but thankful she came in when she did. If she hadn't come in when she did, I don't know if I'd be today, and I'm so glad for that. If you're being bullied, talk to someone and do everything you can to get out of that situation.